The LTFRB has approved fare hikes for jeepneys, buses, taxis, and ride-hailing services. The increased fares take effect on October 4. Maguindanao residents begin voting on whether to split their province into two. President Bongbong Marcos is set to make his first visit to the United States for the UN General Assembly. However, there's no word yet if he will be meeting with US President Joe Biden on the sidelines of his trip. And the world's first flying bike makes its debut at an auto show in the United States. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know to jumpstart your weekend. I'm Riza Diaz. Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Babe Romualdez, says a possible meeting between President Bongbong Marcos and U.S. President Joe Biden is still being worked out. President Marcos will fly to the U.S. on Sunday to attend the UN General Assembly. He will also meet with U.S. business leaders for a roundtable discussion. However, a possible meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden is still being ironed out.
I know for a fact that the White House has indicated that President Biden would really like to meet with President Marcos, obviously because of the situation that we have right now and being our number one ally. So that is something that we are confident that that meeting will take place. We just don't know when and what time.
Now, as to the standing contempt order against President Marcos, Romualdez says the president has full immunity as head of state.
In the case, all of these cases, it's there. And being a head of state, obviously, he's going to have full immunity, not only in the United States, but most especially at the United Nations.
In other news, the LTFRB has approved fare increases for jeepneys, buses, taxis, and ride-hailing services. Starting October 4, minimum fare for traditional jeepneys will now be 12 pesos, while modern jeepneys will charge a minimum fare of 14 pesos. Ordinary city buses will now have a base fare of 13 pesos with an additional 2 pesos and 25 centavos per succeeding kilometer. Air-conditioned city buses will have 15 pesos minimum fare with 2 pesos and 65 centavos per succeeding kilometer. Meanwhile, ordinary provincial buses will charge a base fare of 11 pesos. Flag-down rates for taxis and TNVS were also adjusted upwards by 5 pesos. Both taxis and sedan-type TNVS will have a flag-down rate of 45 pesos, while AUVs and SUVs will be at 55 pesos. Flag-down rates for hatchback types has been set at 35 pesos. Maguindanao residents will be voting on whether to split their province into two today. A Republic Act that was passed last year stated that the province of Maguindanao is to be divided between Maguindanao del Norte and Maguindanao del Sur if majority of the province decides. The manual voting for the plebiscite has started and will run until 3 p.m. today. If yes wins, Maguindanao del Norte will have 12 towns, while the municipality of Datu Odin Sinsuat as its capital. Meanwhile, Buluan will remain the capital of Maguindanao del Sur, which will have 24 municipalities. Now we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Cash remittances from Filipinos abroad hit a 7-month high in July. Shaila Francisco with a report.
Amid the weaker peso, overseas Filipinos sent more money to their families in the Philippines. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas reports that personal remittances reached $3.24 billion in July. Over $2.9 billion of which are cash transfers, the highest since December 2021. Rising remittances were logged among land and sea-based overseas Filipino workers. The bulk of this came from the United States, followed by Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Japan, and the United Kingdom. Economist Sir Percival Peña Reyes says eased COVID-19 restrictions abroad is a major factor.
We are also seeing greater deployment now, no? Other countries are also recovering from this crisis, a worldwide crisis, this pandemic. No? There is, of course, also going to be demand for our workers, especially skilled workers. No? So merong demand na nag-a-attract from other countries, coming from yung ating economy. No?
Higher remittances are also a big help for OFW families as prices of commodities remain high.
The dollars that you have would convert more into pesos, which would give you more purchasing power. Not all households nga may ganun. Probably yung mga yon mas masasaktan talaga because of inflation. But sila, I could imagine lang, probably they wouldn't feel as much pain siguro, or did have cushion or insulation.
For ING Bank Manila senior economist Nicolas Mapa, a moderate expansion of the remittances is expected. He explained that the current high cost of living in the Philippines may be prompting overseas Filipinos to send more to their families. For now, economists call on the government to address the rising prices of commodities. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Arsenio Balisacan says they are already working on it.
Given the fiscal space and the so many conflicting needs for development agenda, the only way we can achieve more with less is to improve the administration of our social protection programs, including the 4Ps. With that, we can be sure that those who are targeted really receive the subsidy.
Currently, 10.3 billion pesos has been allotted for cash assistance to poor families. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
Here are some of the biggest stories we're following around the world. Former British soccer star David Beckham lined up with other people wishing to pay respects to the late Queen Elizabeth. Beckham waited in line for more than 13 hours on Friday just to see the Queen lying in state. The massive line stretched out for almost 4 kilometers, prompting authorities to temporarily close Westminster Hall after it reached full capacity. In Ukraine, authorities found a mass grave in the northeastern town of Izium days after it was recaptured from the Russians. Officials believe that some 25 people were buried in the site. Ukraine has accused Russia of war crimes, which Moscow denied. And in the U.S., the world's first flying bike was launched in an auto show in Detroit. The vehicle, called X Turismo, was built by Japanese startup Wind Technologies. It can fly for 40 minutes, reaching speeds of up to 99 kilometers per hour. The hover bike is already on sale in Japan, but Wind plans to sell a smaller version in the United States by next year, priced at $777,000. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 9 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.